Hello, my name is Tom DeSimone and welcome to my portfolio video. Let me start off by telling you a little bit about myself. I've been married for over 20 years and I have 3 teenage children. I am currently a geometry instructor with Florida Virtual School. I started the Edtech program in the summer of 2013. I decided on the Boise State Edtech program because I've always been interested in using technology in the classroom, and after researching many universities, I found that the course selection would provide me with the best opportunity to become a better instructor. The Edtech program has been very challenging but also very rewarding. I've enjoyed all of my courses and I found my professors knowledgeable and helpful. I really enjoyed meeting and working with many of the wonderful students in the program. Collaborating with the other students during the weekly discussions was a great source of learning for me. In this video, I'll reflect on 3 artifacts that represent my growth as both a teacher and a person during my time in the EdTech program. The artifacts I will speak on are my EdTech 502 Virtual Field Trip Project, my EdTech 503 Instructional Design Project, and my EdTech 506 Course Project. I took the EdTech 502 course in my first semester at Boise State. This course was my first experience in learning how to create web pages in HTML5 and CSS. I was very excited but a little bit nervous about learning these new skills in my first semester. This was one of my favorite EdTech courses because the skills I learned in this course have allowed me to build several web pages that I use in my classroom. Understanding how to design and maintain web pages has improved the way I present material to my students. The virtual field trip assignment is a culmination of most of the skills I learned in the EdTech 502 course.
For this assignment, I created a virtual tour of the most visited cities in Florida. Since this website has multiple pages, I wanted to make sure that the user could easily navigate from page to page. So I created a navigation toolbar at the top of each page. I also learned how to place a picture in the body of the web page, which created the ocean and the sky background. So on my Daytona Beach page, I showed how a picture and sound can be incorporated into my website. The websites I build incorporate pictures with examples. Understanding how to incorporate sound into my web pages has allowed me to put voice threads of my text in my web pages. So here's an example of some sound that I incorporated into my web page. On my Orlando page, I showed how I can incorporate videos into my websites. This is a skill that's important because as a geometry teacher, almost all of my web pages contain videos with examples. I can also show how I can incorporate a map into my web pages. So here's an example of a video embedded into my website. And this is a Disney video that I found. Okay, so you can play videos. And here's an example of the map, and if I click here I can actually bring a larger view of the map onto my web page.
So as you can see from my EdTech 502 virtual tour assignment, understanding how to design and use web pages as part of my curriculum has helped me make learning more relevant and dynamic for my students. The knowledge I've gained has helped me to become a better instructor, which benefits my students. My EdTech 503 instructional design project was how to effectively use GeoGebra in a classroom. GeoGebra is an online graphing program that is used in our geometry curriculum. This assignment was the first time I created a course from scratch. This assignment was very enlightening because I really did not understand what steps are needed to create a course.
I took the EdTech 503 instructional design course in the fall of 2013. My final project was on how to effectively use GeoGebra in the classroom. First, I had to identify and describe my potential learners. Then I created a needs analysis report. I sent an 11-question survey to 63 potential learners to see if the course was wanted or needed. I analyzed my survey and found that there were teachers who expected the students to understand how to use the software but did not understand how to use it themselves. I then created a task analysis flowchart. For my task analysis flowchart, I I developed several different charts here, as you can see. And then from the charts, I developed a list of instructional objectives. Okay, and I developed 9 objectives for the course. The last thing is I then developed an ARCS motivational strategy plan. ARCS is attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. Lastly, I created an instructor's guide for other teachers to use so they could teach GeoGebra to their students. This instructor's guide included ways for teachers to gain attention, stimulate students' motivation, and it basically provides the lesson plan for the teacher.
What I learned from the Edtech 503 course in this assignment is the amount of planning that is needed to not just create a course, but to create a new unit or lesson. I use this when planning everyday lessons and working with other students in PLCs. ARC's motivational strategy plan has really shown me how to develop better lessons. When teaching online, it is extremely important to keep the attention of the learner right from the beginning of the lesson. There must be perceptual arousal followed by inquiry arousal. The lesson must be relevant. The students must understand the goals, and familiarity is also very important. So real-world examples must be used. As an instructor, I want my students to be confident and satisfied with the lesson or course, so I allow them to practice what they've learned during the lesson and provide them with valuable feedback as they are doing and practicing what they have learned. During the fall 2014 semester, I took the Edtech 506 graphic design for learning course. I'm not an artistic person. I knew nothing about graphic design. I knew I needed to understand graphic design to properly design presentations and websites for my students. This course was a real eye-opener for me because I had no idea how much theory goes into the designing of graphics. The final project for Edtech 506 was not only a culmination of all the assignments in the course, but I used much of what I learned in most of my previous Edtech courses. In this course, we created a series of graphics that we used to design a learning unit. What I really enjoyed about this course was that I had the opportunity to collaborate with other students on a weekly basis. We would critique each other's work, which in the end helped us create better units for our students. My unit was on volumes and figures in geometry.
This unit contains 3 modules. I created navigation buttons out of some of the graphics I developed. So each of these buttons will go to the different modules. Okay, making it easy for the students to navigate, easy for them to see. And then this front page also contains the goals for the unit. So if we go to module 1, you'll see that I've embedded a video. Here's a lesson video that I've embedded.
Hello and welcome to Module 1.
Okay, and the students can easily access this video. This also tells them what they will learn, the Sunshine State Standards, and the instructional objectives. So if we look at the graphic on this page, it represents a good use of CARP, which is contrast, alignment, repetitive, and proximity. I found that these elements are important because graphics need to be appealing to the eye and easy to read. I learned how to properly contrast colors to make my 2D graphics appear 3D, making them concrete for my students. And as you can see, we have the dark gray, the circle on the bottom, making the cylinder appear 3D and the cone appear 3D. All the text aligned to make it easy for my students to read. All the information in the chart is presented the same way, making it repetitive. The text sticks to the appropriate graphic with the correct proximity, making it easy for students to read and understand. For this graphic on calculating density, I learned how to emphasize figure and ground. A figure needs to employ the 3 C's: concentrated, concise, and concrete. This figure is concentrated because the title is bold. It is concise because I show the 3 simple steps in determining the density of an object. So step 1 is calculating the mass, step 2 is calculating the volume, And step 3 is divide the mass by the volume. Okay, and it's concrete because students can see the cubes with measurements and formulas. For this last graphic on shapes, you can see that again I use contrasting colors to make the shapes appear 3D. I use Adobe InDesign to create these tables with some contrasting color just to make it easier for the students to read. For the 3 tables, I alternated colors to make the tables easier to read. This project also included some homework and assignments and a unit test for the students.
Now that I understand the use of graphics, I'm not just placing them randomly on a web page. I now make sure I am properly using the rules of CAR. Students love graphics because they would rather learn from a picture than just reading text. This course and project helped me grow as an instructor because my understanding how graphics should be presented is making it easier for my students to understand the material and the lessons I create. The 2 years I've spent in the Edtech program have passed very quickly. This video only represents a fraction of what I've learned. Every day I try to incorporate what I've learned into my classroom. My students use my Edtech 523 final project to learn how to use GeoGebra, which is a very important part of our curriculum. I used my Netiquette scavenger hunt that I completed in Edtech 521 and my Netiquette project I completed in Edtech 502 to teach my students how to properly communicate on the internet. My Edtech 505 final evaluation project has been key, helping me learn how to improve the use of a software program called Quizlet in my classroom. In Edtech 503, I learned the instructional design process and developing and improving units and lessons. I recently incorporated my Edtech 506 final project into a live lesson for my online students who are struggling with how to calculate the volume of figures. What I've learned in the Edtech program has made me a better instructor as I've learned how to present information to my students in a manner that is more relevant to them, which allows them to have a more enjoyable learning experience.